So in general, usually we'll record study groups. It's very rarely we won't record study groups, and that's just for me kind of like a helpful thing for you all. One trap that I know sometimes people will fall into is like, well, it's like, oh, I don't need to go to study group because it's being recorded anyway. Try not to fall in that trap. One is because you just won't be interactive, and I won't be able to see your smiling, confused face, as you're here and everything live. So that kind of helps me out. And two is that like, I do think there's something different about watching a video versus being on it live, where you have to actively like check yourself of like, oh, do I understand what's going on? Versus a video, it's a lot easier to kind of passively think that you understand what's going on and like not have to worry about actively participating. I will say like, video recordings, whether it's, from instructional or like some other outside source, they can be very beneficial. In fact, I know students in the past had like come to study groups and then they might have rewatched parts of the study groups and stuff like that, just to kind of reemphasize what they understand. So feel free to do that too. And so I'm building up a playlist. I just literally just throw, not every instructor does this, I literally just throw all of the YouTube videos, like recordings on YouTube on just one channel. And then you can always so for the record, you can go through, like I just put it public just to make it easy to find. And you could go through the other cohorts that I've taught before. But I'll make sure to make it easy for you guys to find. I usually put it in a playlist. That way you guys can kind of like see in order of like what we're doing. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of anything else I should let you guys know since this is our first study group and everything. Study groups, if you look at the calendar, this week's a little different. Next week's a little bit different too because we have Monday off. But in general, the study groups are scheduled for 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday. And they go for about, I schedule, if you notice it, an hour and a half long. And the reason why is not because I expect us to go an hour and a half every single time. Trust me, we could, if not longer. But the idea there is just to give us a little bit of buffer. The goal is to get about an hour study group. And then what I'm planning to do is about that extra half hour is that little extra fudge time in case we need to go a little bit longer. Or as we kind of finish up, if there are people who have questions, we can kind of take some time to kind of make like a little half office hours before kind of finishing up our study group. So that's kind of the idea there. And then you'll see on the calendar, quick thumbs up. Who's already seen the calendar on No Homeroom? All right, I see a lot of thumbs up. Awesome. So you'll probably notice that there's office hours either before or after, or sometimes both. The idea there is that the longer office hours is kind of like we'll probably have either like let's say after study group, we'll take a little break and then we'll kind of like regroup at office hours, and it's a time for you to like ask more specific questions. You can share your screen, we can talk as a group, we can go into more detail about stuff we've learned or maybe even days prior that we've learned about. So that's kind of the format overall. Of course, things are always a little bit of flux. We have a little bit of flexibility. So if things work out well this way, awesome. If things are like, oh, we should make some changes or this might work better for other students or whatnot, we'll make those changes too. So just know I'm open to feedback and criticism and all that good stuff. Sound pretty good? Cool. All right. Before we kind of get right into it and everything, is there any like really burning questions that like we need to address right now? Like that maybe you like saw at orientation or wasn't addressed at orientation? I see mostly head shakes, so that's good. If there is something and you're like, I don't want to talk about it in this group setting, feel free to Slack me. Everyone's on Slack now, right? Who's here? Thumbs up, nods. Cool. All right, good. That's going to be our main source of communication within the cohort. So, feel free to Slack me directly. If you feel comfortable with it, I actually suggest, Slacking. I think already I think it was Sam or one of our Sams, and then we have two Sams now. Sam, I see a thumbs up. I already asked a question. That was great. That's perfect because I'm sure there's other people who are going to come across the same exact stuff. So it's kind of useful to put in there. All right. So it's kind of weird because this is our first study group. So I'm kind of go through a little bit of like how things work and everything like that. So let me go ahead. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my whole screen and we'll see how this goes. Again, I have only one monitor, which sounds ridiculous, but like I'm used to having two. So forgive me if I kind of try to figure where everyone is. So everyone can see my whole screen going on right here. See all my windows. Here's Slack right here. See thumbs up. Okay, I only see like 4 people at a time right now, so that's why. Okay, so again, Slack, this is our main channel right here. That's one that you're basically going to live in completely. If you have a different OS, I think it might be slightly different. For the record, this is a Linux desktop, so there'll be different stuff, but pretty much the same thing. This is basically where all our stuff will live. You'll notice that the channel stuff, that means it just pings out everyone. I don't believe students have access to do @channel, but of course, if you someone, like, for example, if you do @Victor, right, you can see all the people coming up, and you can see in this case, that actually pings directly to me. So this will actually ping me on my side. Hey, someone's asking you a question. So this is a really great way to like reference someone, especially if you're like, hey, so-and-so, I saw you did this, like, could you explain this more? It's a great way to kind of like basically get someone's attention. I mentioned @DS Support Squad. Let's see here. There we go. DS Support Squad. And this will ping all the instructors, like I mentioned before. That's a useful thing to do. You can format your stuff, attach images and stuff like that. It can be really useful, especially if you have questions on something specific. Like I saw Sam here. They had a question about GitHub, so they actually posted a screenshot. That's perfect. This is actually really useful because it helps me understand, or other people understand, what exactly the issues are. So that's always super useful. And you can see here is that in Slack, if you're not used to this, there's actually a threading feature. So for example, you'll see like there's I put a message here about our study group. If you click this reply in thread, this will actually reply in this little thread that's associated with this conversation, which is really convenient because then it's easy to find. Like, for example, Sam here was talking about Git repository. He replied in a thread here, and you can see is that this is all related. And that way people also don't it doesn't fill up the whole Slack screen and you're like trying to find that one message that someone said, like how to make something work. So just kind of be aware of that and, play around. I think you all are very smart, so I believe in you all. Okay, so then with Slack, I'm actually going to close Slack so I don't have to look at that. Cool. And let's close this guy because I don't need this. I'll keep the terminal there. So, all right. So I wanted to show you a little bit of your Canvas. So everyone's been able to get on Canvas here. I can't see everyone at once, but I'm assuming that everyone's kind of giving a nod. You'll probably see a lot less tiles than I do because this is an instructor kind of thing. And your screen probably look a little bit different than the way mine does. But the first one you want to notice is your homeroom. So that's where this part right here, you can see that stuff I kind of mentioned, the orientation, the assignments, about me survey, all that good stuff. And then you can see the schedule that I put in for the first week. I won't necessarily do this every week, but I think it might be good just for this first week. Of course, like me and Dara, and then of course the cohort calendar. And you can see here, there we go. You can see the cohort calendar right here. You'll notice that there's different colors here. The purple in general means things that are specific for the cohort. So like those are cohort specific to you all. So you'll see there's a lot of stuff scheduled. We have Meet Your Classmates tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Remember, this is all Eastern time, New York, right? And you'll also notice though there's some green right here. These are other like remote, other events. And I think it's technically on the remote, like the calendar is called like remote calendar or remote event calendar or something like that. And so these are other like data science things, and they're not required for you to attend, but you might find useful. For example, there's a career coaching Ask Me Anything on Thursday. And you'll see here, I think they usually have a meditation Monday where people get to come together and just kind of like do a meditation practice. I actually haven't attended this, but you can kind of see a little bit maybe of those different events. You might see other events kind of pop up in here. For example, here's the holiday. For example, next Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So campus will be closed, which means we won't have any study groups, won't have any instructors on that stuff. And so kind of like basically taking that holiday off. So you'll see things like that. You'll also see, if I kind of go through here, so again, more study groups, you'll see due dates pop up here. So this right here is the phase 1 project week. So February 1st all the way through the 6th, we'll be working on just our phase 1 project. So I'll put those kind of events up here. And you'll also see due dates. There's another campus closure. There is phase 1 project deadline, final deadline. So this will basically give you an idea of like when things have to be completed. Note that I put these deadlines on here because those are like the official, like this is when it has to be done by. And I talked about like the phase repeat policy. But in general, you'll probably be finishing these projects before then. But you can see a little bit what I was talking about. Like here's your phase 1 project week where you'll just work on the phase 1 project. And then the following week, we'll actually start phase 2. So if you're still finishing up the phase 1 project, you still technically have like a couple more weeks to finish until the deadline. But during that whole time from here, here, and here, you'll actually be learning new material. So this is why I'm kind of emphasizing like when you get to the project, make sure you kind of try as best as you can to stay in pace, on pace. So that way you finish, well, you don't have to like worry about learning new stuff and also completing your project. Okay, sound pretty good? cool. So that's the homepage. You'll see me add extra stuff here, like resources and stuff throughout time. And then if you click on, if you were to go in this dashboard and you click your phase 1, again, I have a whole bunch of tiles, but you should only see really 2 tiles, I think. Your phase 1, you actually see all the different topics. And these are the different topics we talk, like we'll actually be going through. Let's see, if I actually go through here, no, I did not put that on here. So that's actually something I'm going to put on here is for what topics to go through. For this week, we're going through topic 0, which is really just welcome. Topic 1, which is going to be mostly covered about today. Topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, that's going to be done throughout the whole week. So the idea is that Tuesday, we'll talk about topic 2. And then on Wednesday, we'll talk about topic 3. And then on Friday, remember, no study groups on Thursday, we'll talk about topic 4. Now, that's not necessarily my style and how I try to present you guys things, because this is very, sometimes people feel very orderly in this. I might kind of skip around a little bit. And in fact, I might even reference some phases. I might say, we're actually going to go do topic like 10 before we do topic, 11 or something, or before we do topic like 8. So I might kind of rearrange it, but I'll let you guys know beforehand, okay? And the reason why I do that is just because of things I've noticed of how students kind of learn and stuff like that. But I'll make sure to give you guys a warning, okay? So for topic 1, and I can't see everyone, so I'll try to click through. Give me a thumbs up. Who started topic 1? At least kind of opened up at least the first one. Okay, I see some thumbs up, I see some head shakes. That's okay. Okay, cool. That just gives me an idea. Has anyone, just by chance, and don't feel like you have to, has anyone finished topic 1 completely? Give me a thumbs up if you finished it completely. Okay, I see 1 thumbs up so far when I was kind of clicking through. So, okay, no worries. Don't feel like you have to finish it completely. And most times you probably will have to do your topic after we talked about it. But just know this main thing is going to be doing your first setup. So setting up your environment, we'll talk about today, and then we'll continue that in office hours to make sure you are set up properly. And then the next part is talking about Jupyter Notebook. I guess I talked about the data science process first, and then actually showing some Python. There is a little thing I would want to mention is that this is where like I move things around behind the scenes. There is a data visualization part. I would say, like, I actually debate about just literally moving this into a different section. Just because we start talking about libraries and stuff like this, don't stress out about this part right here. In fact, like if you're going to skip it and then come back to it later, it does have a reference to this little mini project, Macbeth, which for the record, there are no projects in here. Nothing's graded. The only thing that matters is your project at the end of the phase. But that does not mean, like I remember back in like university when I was like a freshman, there were people who we had a class where it's like, oh, like this physics class, there's no graded homework, and in fact, here's all the solutions right now for the homework, so, here you go. But there will be quizzes every week. And then what people said were, hey, I don't have any homework. And of course, that didn't end very well for them because it's good practice. So don't feel like you have to complete this and make this really clear and stuff like this. This is just kind of get a good taste of things. And to be honest, this can be a little bit of work depending on your skill level and just knowledge already. Okay, so cool. If you click on one of these, just to kind of show you guys in case no one's seen it yet, if I click on one of these, you'll see most of the pages kind of pop up here. And so I'm going to put in student view. So I can pretend to be a student now. Now it looks like what your guys' stuff looks like. You can see the data science process. Just basically it's titled through here, and you can go all through this good stuff. And you'll see at the very end, you can click next, right? So most of the pages are just like this. Basically, they're essentially an article, kind of like a page in a chapter, right? That you can go through and just go next, next, next. People take notes and stuff like this. One thing I did want to note to you all, though, is there's something called Github. And again, I know I'm kind of introducing a lot of stuff that maybe you may or may not really be familiar with. That's okay. But once we get to GitHub, you can see that there's a little icon here. If you click on this, this will actually open up the GitHub page for this, I don't know, topic, I can't remember, page, I guess. For this page, it's the GitHub part. And this is sometimes relevant, for example, because you can see here, most of this stuff like license, contributing, this .learn, this .getIgnore are pretty unimportant. This is the README, which is really what's showing on here. And you can see it's identical to this guy, or at least it should be identical to what you're seeing on Canvas. You can do all your stuff on here, but sometimes you might look at this just because you want to have an external link for whatever reason. You can also, we'll talk about how to clone repo. So it's actually a repo you can clone and actually keep on your own computer. And in some pages, I should say, I'm gonna go back a couple. Keep going. There we go. On some pages, you'll notice that it says lab. And if I click on this, you'll probably notice that it says, hey, load introductions lab in a new window. Clicking on this, just to kind of show you all, this will actually load something called a LumaDesk. And hopefully everything works fine. Yeah, and you'll see this kind of loading up and everything, especially for the first time, it might take a while. And the idea here is that you could do the lab completely in a LumaDesk. And it's what we call Jupyter Notebook. That's kind of like what it's based around. Okay. Now, I will tell you, see, I don't know what this is. It's because I'm modeling. You could probably ignore those, probably, I'll say. But running these different parts, now you can actually run code directly in here and actually, change things up and all that stuff. Very interactive. But I will suggest is that if you're doing a big lab that you kind of think that you want to like kind of preserve for the future, and we'll talk about what that means exactly. Like for example, the Macbeth project, you can click this on LumaDesk. You can click this LumaDesk like link right here and load the project and work on there. You'll notice there's also still a GitHub repo. I actually suggest, and we'll talk about what this means, but I suggest cloning this repo and working on it, because in reality is that when you go to work, after this bootcamp's all said and done, you probably will not be doing stuff in a LumaDesk or something like it. You'll probably have some kind of repo and work directly in that repo versus working on some other aspect. If you're just trying to get things done really quickly, like like a little lab here and there, I think that's perfectly fine. But for bigger projects, it might be worth like this end project, like it's like mini project, right? But like these things that take a little bit more time, you'll see that there's another file in here, and that's actually the file that you can take and actually like if you were to download and everything, modify it, all that good stuff. It's taking a while to load. Sometimes GitHub takes a while to load these notebooks and stuff. So when we talk about cloning, I would actually suggest doing it that way. If let's say we go to this, you get to this part in Canvas and you don't know what cloning is yet, because we haven't really figured that out yet, it's perfectly fine to do LumaDesk. But in the future, start looking at seeing how we could do something called, we work on it locally. And locally means that, how do I say this? It's done on your own computer versus like on your browser, which is actually not your own computer. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Thumbs up if that made sense. Thumbs down, you're like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Sideways, like, I think I'm getting what you're saying, but maybe not there. Okay. I, of course, have to click through everyone so I can see it. Okay. Cool. I think it saw mostly thumbs up. I didn't see anyone going like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, and it's okay if you don't. We'll figure things out. All right. But I just wanted to show you guys that briefly. Okay.